I'm here to talk about the history of baking. If you didn't know, I'm a baker, and I've been doing this since I was a little girl, and I really enjoy it. My main inquiry question is, how has baking changed over time? Get ready to learn about my topic. Let's first discuss about the baking tools. This one was pretty good, and I found some good research. Did you know people in the 1700s used cake pans? They used bread tins for cakes. Now we use them for circle pizzas. Also, did you know that biscuit pans were a big hit in the 1900s, but now we use them more for gingerbread? Another example is that in the 1900s they called cake pans and cupcake pans patty pans. Weird, right? Lastly, when you would want to bake a cake in a cake hoop, you would need to get parchment paper, rub butter on it so it wouldn't stick. Now let's discuss about the ingredients. This one was pretty good, and I got some good research. One example is that, did you know in the 1900s, most of the baked goods they ate were protein, like fat, like nutrients like protein and fat and much more. Another example is that maybe you didn't know is that it's not very popular in the United States are raisin butter and plum cake. They ate this a lot. I like seeds and I like cake, but I wouldn't like them together. But did you know they ate that in the 1900s? You're probably like, yuck, like me. Did you know when powdered sugar came out, it made the baking world so much more popular because powdered sugar made everything taste good. And also it helped new ingredients come out like eggs. Now that we've talked about ingredients, let's talk about the techniques. One thing that you probably didn't know, or maybe you did, that bakers use a lot of techniques, and I'm going to be showing you some of them. One technique that we don't use now is the mix or mash method. It is when we don't use it now because we have electric mixers and that mix it for us. But in the old times they did. It's when you mix and mash ingredients together with your hands. The next method is called the hot milk method. It is used when you want your cake to be nice and fluffy. So you would go to a stove, mix milk and butter, and boil that together till it's melted into one. Another method is the blind bake method. It is when you put marbles and some parchment paper around your cake about your pastry when you're baking it. So you don't do this because when you put your pastry cream or jam, you don't want it to sog your dough so that then it won't be pleasant to eat. Did you ever realize that technology goes with baking? Well, it does. One thing that technology is now we have edible paper printers. So if you want to have some cool design on your cake, that you just print it out. And it also helps bakers because they don't have to take hours of piping on your cake. They can do it in minutes. Another example is bakers can now cook baked goods faster because now we have electric mixers. So they can be doing something else while the electric mixer is making your dough and doing its job. Also, now we have ovens that can fit more cakes. So if you want to cook for a feast or bake for a feast, you got those ovens that can have a lot of cakes in them. Lastly is, now that we have oven timers, you don't need to keep looking at the cake to see when it's ready. You just set the timer that it's supposed to be at, and once the timer goes on, it's good. And then also it helps bakers because they can be doing something else instead of just keep looking at the cake. Like technology, you might be surprised that science is a big part of baking. One thing that I've wondered, and maybe you have, is what goes on in the oven. Well, when you mix the ingredients, the chemicals from the ingredients, the chemicals from the cake, from the dough, and the chemicals from the oven mixed together, it makes your cake rise, and it helps it rise, yeah. Another reason that maybe you didn't know is why we put oil. I always wondered, but I found out that you put oil in cake because it helps it from stop being dry and keeps the flavor you want. Another example is now we have ovens, we can the egg from the dough and and the heat from the oven, when they mix together, it makes your cake stay super firm and gives it that nice golden brown color. In conclusion, I figured out the meaning of my maiden creek question. We are lucky to have this stand mixers and all this technology. And now have you noticed that we use the same tools and pans, but we just call them different things. And now that we have more ingredients, it makes our baking world more and more popular. For more information, go to my blogs, blogs.scarsdaleschools.org /gfriedman27/